Hey, everybody, welcome back to the SoCap Improv Comedy Podcast. My name is Ralph McLeod. I am the owner and artistic director at SoCap Comedy Theatre in Danforth in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. SOCAP.ca, SoCap.ca is the URL. Come check us out for all that good stuff. Classes, shows, community events, corporate rentals. Uh, so nice. This is a improv podcast on performing improv and also improv in your normal everyday life, just out being in the universe. For me, it's the same, whether I'm on stage or off stage. I mean, on stage is heightened a bit. It's not exactly the same, but the principles are definitely the same. And so today I want to talk about a topic that I come back to again and again and again and again. It's listening. You know, uh, I remember when I was taught about listening, I was like, well, obviously I'm hearing what people are saying. Hmm, you're hearing maybe the words, but listening is like a whole body thing. It's really, okay, what is this person saying? What are they getting across? What is this feeling like? Anyway, you know, uh, I had this saying whatever I have in my class, and it's not based on something else, but I looked it up to see if it was said before, and it's the closest I can find is a quote by Zeno, and he says, "We have two ears and one mouth, so that we may hear more and speak less." And there's also I know there's a rhyme about a wise old owl who doesn't talk, but what I say in my class is like the less you say, the more you hear, and the more you hear, the more you see. And by in this case, I mean perceive. The more you understand the world, and the more you sink into the moment. Listening is a lost art among people. Just out in the world, when you listen to people have conversations, like not eavesdropping on their content, just the way people talk to each other, it's really interesting. Um, but listening is a lost art, and especially among improvisers, and especially when you're stressed, like being on stage or at a social event. Yeah, we all tend to, and I don't want to label everybody with a broad brush, but in my experience, most everybody is like this. Is that we've been taught to be impressive, to sound smart, to wow people. And so when we're stressed, we go up in our head and we start thinking about like, what can I write? What can I say that will be interesting or dynamic or will show how people how what great person I am. And and that's well, I mean, the instinct is good or whatever, but it works against you in so many ways because you're not listening. You're not interacting with someone. You're just trying to take care of yourself, but without listening or interacting with the other person. Now, I grew up in a very rural place in eastern Canada. I grew up on a farm, very isolated. And as soon as I got off that farm and got into the city, my gimmick was I did not want people to know that I came from a farm. And so I worked very hard to get rid of my accent. I started reading as much as I could or experiencing things. And if I didn't know something, I would pretend that I did. I was definitely that guy that would like laugh, like knowingly. Haha, of course I've read Proust. Who hasn't? Am I right? And sometimes it got me into trouble because people would ask me questions and I'd have to, oh, that Proust. Oh, no, I mean the other Proust. And people would catch me and they were nice. They let me off the hook, but, it was embarrassing. But we all have these gimmicks, all these things that we're trying to get from other people. And again, maybe not everybody, but in my experience, I can't think of a person who isn't like this. And that gimmick might be you just want people to like you. They don't have to be bad, but still, even having that little bit of a gimmick, it's fake, and you don't listen because you're trying to manipulate, change people. You're trying to get them to like you, and it's beyond your control, and it just makes people feel like, well, they're not interested in me, so why do I care? So, this self consciousness, these gimmicks cut you off from like seeing other people, being present in a moment, actually connecting with people, right? So that's great, Ralph. What do I do? Well, we want to turn our attention outward, right? And this is not, yeah, I've talked about this before in lots of lots of times it's not easy to do. And that's why we take classes and we work on it. And improv is a great place to do it because you can role play this stuff there in a place that's safe and with low stakes. So we want to serve the interaction, serve the moment, and not ourselves. So rather than in my head saying, well, what can I do to impress everybody, and thinking and sweating profusely, coming up with words, I'm going to start focusing on what's happening around me. Who am I talking to? I'm going to start listening. How can I support this moment? Oh, I can ask more questions. I can draw them out. I can smile, and I can have eye contact, which is encouraging them. And the minute you start judging people, whether it's on stage or in real life, they'll say, oh, you don't like this. And they'll start shutting down because they're now starting to get concerned about saying the wrong thing, upsetting you, whatever. And again, I'm not saying we accept all crap that people say without questioning it. Of course, people say outrageous things, but that's really a small part of what people say, especially like on stage or, well, maybe more so on stage, but they don't say, it's rare. It's still rare in my experience where people say really terrible things on stage. And it's usually a misstep when they do. And in real life, people don't say the worst things. So you can interact with them and be supportive and listen and ask questions. And the funny thing is, when you start asking other people questions, they start asking you questions. And then you have a real moment, a rapport. So the benefits of saying less is you become more present, you become more alive and responsive to other people. People start enjoying being around you because you're listening and you seem to care about them, which hopefully you do. You stop coming off as self-conscious or trying too hard because nobody likes someone who's trying too hard. Um, and on stage, you avoid the sort of weird improv choices that people make from panic, like, oh, um, here I am, I'm a doctor, and a patient's just come in. Oh, I know, I'll be a doctor who operates with chainsaws. That'll be interesting. It's never interesting. I've never seen it be interesting. Can you make it interesting? Yes. That's beyond the scope of this particular podcast. So anyway, when you can listen and you become present and mindful, first of all, mindful performers and mindful people are the ones people like watching and being around. Ellen Langer, the godmother or grandmother of mindfulness, I can't remember which it is, but she did this experiment where, they had two groups of people come in. One group, they primed them to be mindful. So they were more mindful. They were more open. They were less in their head. They were more in the moment. And then they sent those two groups out to interact with two more groups of people, and or one more group of people. And at the end, they asked the people who the mindful and non-mindful people interacted with. They said, which group of people or which people did you like better? And they were pretty universal in saying like, oh, we like the mindful group better because they're not trying to manipulate them. They're not coming with an agenda. They're just existing and being themselves. And I get it. It's hard to be yourself when everybody's watching you and you're panicking and you're feeling the weight of it. And this is not going to happen overnight, but it's the beginning. If you start asking questions, start listening, start making eye contact, caring less about yourself and more about them, it'll calm the craziness inside your own brain. This happened to me. It works. So when improvisers can be mindful, when you're mindful in the world, scenes feel easier, right? Working so hard to come up with stuff. The passage of time changes. Your stress disappears and you tend to laugh more. People watching you laugh more. And that laughter it's not laughter at, it's laughter with, right? You stop searching for clever ideas or like looking up to the sky or down to the ground for inspiration. It just flows, and you can just relate to your partner. And when you do these things, I find that people have successful scenes in improv and successful interactions in the world. What does success look like on stage in a classroom? Well, you finish a scene or a game or whatever, and I didn't feel any panic. I didn't feel like I was searching for an idea. I didn't look up to the sky or down to the ground. I didn't write anything in my head. Instead, it just felt effortless. I felt like I was playing. There you go. So you exist in a moment, you relate, and you enjoy yourself. You know, I have this theory. I don't know if it's true. It's probably not true, and there's probably no way to prove that it is true. It's probably not right, but it makes sense to me. I think that words, by and large, language, spoken language in human beings, was invented not to at least as much for us to lie to each other. Human beings are very good at lying. In fact, there's even non-verbally we can lie. But anyway, the point here is that words are really, when it comes to communication, or this kind of communication anyway, technical is different. They're the least interesting part of the interaction. Real communication is mostly nonverbal, right? It's what's happening below the level of text, subtext. How do I feel right now? Oh, I like this person. Does this feel like we can be friends or dating, or will I never see this person again? And the less you talk, right, the more you hear. And the more you hear, the more you perceive, the more you understand. The shroud is being lifted, right? The more you can connect or choose not to connect if that's what you want. Just as an aside, do you know dogs try to lie? Because dogs have this scent gland at their butts, which is why dogs sniff their butts, each other's butts. And if they're scared, that shoots out a particular, pheromone or chemical. And so that's why your dog, when he's scared, will hide his tail, because he's trying to cover up that scent gland. So it's a primitive form of lying. Humans lie with words. They also can lie with our faces too, which is interesting. We've developed lying. It's been evolutionarily advantageous for humans to lie. So, core takeaway: try to say less. Try to hear more. On stage, it's not just the other people or the words they say; it's how they say them. It's how they're looking at you. Hear being whole body. Perceive. What am I getting? What is the audience doing, if there is one? What's going on outside? Is that happening? So you understand more, you relax more, you connect more, you seem more alive. People tune into you more. Listening is foundational to good improv and good life. All right. So just to sum up, listening is a skill worth returning to again and again and again. Never gets old. I listen first now, and it's so much easier. It will definitely transform your improv and your real world interactions. So thanks for listening. Once again, I'm Ralph. This is the SoCap Improv Comedy Podcast. Thanks for listening. Have a great week. Take care of each other. Goodbye.